What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of 54 Yards, Season 4, Episode
Episode 2 or
2.
3, 3,
3.
3, 3,
Oh,
3,
yeah.
because it's week
Week
2,
2,
but we
yeah.
did week 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another exciting week, especially for you guys. Got a big game. Your mouse is on my screen.
Oh shit, my bad.
No, you're all good.
I'm trying to zoom in on the time on there because I can barely see it. It's at like 27 seconds.
Big game for you guys. You got game
Mm-hmm.
day going over there. I think as of right now, y'all are a 2.5 favorite.
Nah, 5.5 on FanDuel, 6 on It's been like floating around. We're 2.5 on ESPN, but they don't really update their stuff as frequently.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
It's like,
5.5 on
I thought
FanDuel.
it went back down to 2.5. I was like,
That's why I told you to.
hey,
Yeah, I said.
I might have
Yeah,
to go faith there,
yeah. Go ahead and get on that. Pause. But
But yeah, no, big game for y'all this weekend. I think this is kind of, I don't know if it's a statement game for y'all, but I think it's like, well, I would say yeah, just because of last year, and then trying to get back on the right track. You're playing a Michigan team that is also kind of doing the same thing, just because they've lost so many guys the past 2 years, and they're kind of in a rebuild stage instead of a reload stage.
yeah, I think they're better than they were last year. This team is.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think, I don't know if they win 8 games this year.
I
Just-
do. I
just-
just because of their schedule. But go ahead. I'll let you continue.
Or just because they're young quarterback and just not that many receivers. I know how to make it in the playoff, but watching the game and just seeing how, I mean, you made a point to where his leading receiver was a tight end, but like last year was the same thing, and so was Penn State's. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but that's kind of really his only target. He puts the balls on the money. I will
He's
say
good.
that.
He's
He
really
is
good.
He does
Yeah.
put the balls on the money.
He's going to be
so-
a problem, bro.
But
later on.
After watching the North Carolina game, which we'll talk about that today, the receivers still got to catch the
Jesus.
ball. So, but no, big game for y'all. I think it's a kind of a statement game. Might be a statement game for both teams.
Honestly, I agree.
But
Sharon Moore.
Shamar turned into OU. Once a player, now the enemy.
Yeah, his previous alma mater, this is a big game for him too. He just got that head coaching job. Obviously, Michigan, they had lost, or Harbaugh had left, but he was on that team that helped them win a national title. They go through all the cheating allegations and things of that nature. But now you got him in his second year, kind of started off slow last year, but you can't really blame a lot of that on him when the quarterback literally they cannot throw the ball. Like Ashton Jincy had 1,000 more rushing yards than Michigan's leading passer. So when you put it into that context, it shows like how bad they were throwing the football, and they still beat Ohio State. They still beat USC. They still beat Alabama in a bowl game. So this is a team that is going to be physical. It's going to be a bar fight. This is a team that wants to play physical. They literally got a linebacker, the guy that got ejected, who's going to be missing the first half of our game. He's probably their best player on defense. When I'm watching the tape, that dude, literally, Carlos, I swear he does not like try to make plays. I think his intention is to just blow people up and which, obviously causes plays, but I think he's just seeking contact and seeking to destroy people. So that dude is a car crash waiting to happen. I'm excited to see. I was kind of giving Javonte Barnes a lot of crap, from the way he was running the ball last week. But if there's anybody in our running back room that is suited for this type of linebacker, it is Javonte Barnes. He's one of the best pass blocking running backs we've ever had, and I would say in the SEC, and he's going to bring it as well. He might get ran over, but that's somebody who's not going to be afraid passing down. So I think there's a spot for him on the team. Maybe he's not impacting the game running the ball, but we all know how important it is to keep your quarterback clean, especially going up against a team like that. So, I'm excited, man. It's a big game in Norman. The crowd, I think, has a massive impact on this game. At home, this is Bryce Underwood's first true road start. He obviously looked good last week against New Mexico. Shout out to Brooks Austin. He just released his tape, and that dude is polished, man. He's a lot better than I thought. He's a lot better than I thought he'd be. So I'm not really concerned, really, just because he's a good quarterback, but I still think, he hasn't seen a defense. You're going to play New Mexico State to Oklahoma. This is a team that has a seasoned defense. A lot of these guys have been in Brent's system 3 or 4 years. And a lot of these guys have been on some of these bad teams that Brent has had. So, they're going to be wanting to make a statement. They're going to be wanting to kind of showcase the country what we have to offer this season. This is the only I think ranked game of the weekend. Both teams are ranked. It's the biggest game of the weekend, and it's at night. So there's going to be a lot of eyes on this game. So I'm excited, man. It's always nice to have a big game early in the season, just like y'all had last week. Obviously, if it doesn't go your way, you feel kind of a way about it. But if it does go your way, it gives you a lot of momentum for the season. And this is a must-win game for Brent Venables. I think so, just because of the optics, like the way the seasons went. You got 75 recruits there. This is just and I think on paper we have the better team. Yeah, 75 recruits are going to the game.
Where they're going to be? What?
20. It's all the way from this class to like 2030. So it's like going to be just like a ton of young guys, a ton of, guys we're after right now, kind of guys committed to other schools. And obviously I get it, as a commit, you want to, go to a game like this, especially if it's free, but some of these guys, we have a chance to flip and, make a big statement winning this game. The floodgates are going to open recruiting. We all know recruiting is all about momentum. So, but yeah, man, I'm excited, man. I hope they show up, man. I just hope they do what they're supposed to do. I think we have a good team, man. And I think, we're set up to beat them. Bryce Underwood has a him moment and he just goes off against us. I just got to commend the guy because, that's just unprecedented, in the situation he's in. So we'll just have to see.
No, I think y'all got it. I know I troll you a lot, so to say, when it comes to Oklahoma and go big blue and all this and that. But at the end of the day, overall, y'all are the better team and y'all are fit to win now more than they are. I think if you have them next year or the year after, I think this game would be a lot closer and maybe they have a real possibility of them winning on the road. But I think this year, just, like you mentioning, the people who have been there on these teams that have been losing, they're hungry to win. They want to win. They've seen the lowest of the lows. And now they're in a position to be the highest of the highs, There's people talking about y'all going to the playoffs and competing for SEC championship. So, that's what they're playing for, and it starts with these kind of games. So I think y'all take care of business this weekend. I know we have our chips and slips part later, but I do. Before we get into that, I do think y'all take care of business this weekend, and I don't think it's going to be pretty for Michigan. I really don't. Y'all just you look at when you look at these games, you look at, all right, who wins this matchup? Who wins this matchup? Who wins this matchup? Y'all win every single matchup. Quarterback to quarterback, y'all have it. Lineman to lineman.
I'd probably say it's stalemate. It's probably even.
I was about to say y'all. That's probably the most even one. But D-line to D-line, y'all win that. Linebackers to linebackers, DBs to DBs, coach staff to staff, y'all win that. Not to say that these staffs are bad. It's just Brent's calling the plays now, and we've all known him as a defensive mastermind. So, on the defensive side of the ball, he's going to own that. On the offensive side of the ball, you got this young dude who's up and coming and making a name for himself, and he's only 28 years old, 29 years old?
Yeah, 28.
At Oklahoma, and, that just kind of showed you, how his trajectory has been. So, staff to staff, I think y'all got it. So, and that's kind of how people deal with these games, analyze the situation, and it's, I don't know. I think it's at home, versus a team that's hungry from losing all last season to a crowd that's hungry to not, used to seeing what y'all did last season. I think that place is gonna go crazy.
Yeah, and I was actually, talking to Kat about it. I was like, we played Tennessee last year and the crowd was rocking. I could tell people got to realize, me and Carlos have talked about it. We just haven't had those type of brands coming into our stadiums that often. Yes, you have a couple of these out of conference and non-conference games, but so now when you look at your schedule, you're going to consistently have really good teams coming in and fan bases that like to travel coming in. So, I think Oklahoma did a good job last year with Tennessee. I think the place has got to be a lot louder as well this year. And two, like the speed of the game, man. Like I know even you watching Texas last week against Ohio State. Like when you watch two really good teams play, as opposed to kind of who you guys have against this week against San Jose State, or like us last week against Illinois State. Just the speed of the game on both sides of the ball, you can just tell. Like I'm not saying players take it easy, but you can tell like they're amped up for games like this. They turn it on, they hit a different gear, just because the intensity of the game, all of that, the adrenaline is just a lot higher. So I'm excited, man. And I like you said, I think we match up good with them. I think, wide receiver, they really have nobody that scares me. Maybe they do. I don't know. But like you said, their leading receiver was a tight end. They have Justin Haynes from Alabama who transferred, played against them last year, man. And we kind of boxed him in. So, I think as long as we're not just like too aggressive, because I think a lot of the times teams when they play Michigan are like, let's just overload the box, like let's just try to throw everything at the run game. And when you throw everything at the run game, all it takes is for somebody not to do their job, and then boom, they're going to be one-on-one with the safety, and then after that, that's a hard play to make in the open field. So I think if we can get a stop, with our front seven, just our traditional 4-down defensive line, like we have, like I said, 6 guys I think who can all start and play. And we're able to just stop them like that, and then also put Bryce in some 3rd and longs, and kind of get him behind the chains. I think that's where you got to let your guys play coverage too. I don't even think you need to necessarily heat him up a ton, because look at Texas and Arch. How much do they really heat up Arch? They didn't really blitz him like that. They were showing a bunch of looks, and then they would drop 8 people in coverage and just confuse them. And obviously, Ohio State, Oklahoma, these schools, they have good enough defensive linemen to where if you're confusing a quarterback with your coverage, and you can get pressure with 4, you don't always got to blitz people and stuff. So I'm curious to see what the game plan is. I think we obviously got to run the ball better, but last week we had 3 offensive linemen out. We're getting Ott back as well this week.
Y'all better get Ott back this week.
We got to get him. We need him for sure. And then Torrey as well, the freshman who got a little stinger. They said he actually might be good to go. We'll just kind of have to hear and kind of play that by ear. Yeah, kind of play that by ear. But I got faith in Tatum, man. Xavier Robinson. I do got faith in Tatum. I don't really know what's going on with him. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in this game get some carries.
And player, man. He don't football
he's super talented, man, but I just got to hold on to the football. And I'm excited, man, about our corners. I think honestly, like our secondary is good enough to kind of, be on islands with these guys. And if they want to commit more people to the run, then, so be it. I think our corners and safeties will hold up against their skill positions. And one thing I want to say, which is crazy, I think Jaren Kanak is going to be super important in this game. I wouldn't necessarily ask him to block these defensive ends because they got some monsters on the D-line, and that's not his strong suit. But I think just like in the past game, like creating some mismatches with some of these linebackers, like I said in the morning after, I think he's going to be a huge part just because I think people don't really realize how athletic he is. And I'm not saying Michigan doesn't have the guys to run with him, but I just think he can really exploit some things early in the game. So I'm excited, bro. It's a big one. It kind of sucks because like we are the big game this weekend. There is some good games this weekend, but we are like the marquee matchup as opposed to last week. We had 3 top 10 games. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, this week we don't have any top 25 matchups besides this one. So
yeah.
But no, I'll take care of business. But I guess on to our game. Not really much to really go into depth on this one because we play San Jose State. This is a team we should take care of business very easily. Mm-hmm. The way our defense looked last week, you kind of want to say that they wouldn't score any points. But I think the biggest thing for me coming out of this week is Arch, and I think that's going to be pretty much everybody's like what they want to see improved. I think he's within these next 3 weeks. I think these are games that he's going to have to go longer in. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I said this last on the morning after or not, but I just don't know if he's hurt. So that's the other thing. Like, I don't know if there is like an undisclosed injury. Like, I don't know, but he just doesn't look the same, and he's sidearming a lot of balls. And I don't know if that's compensating for like him not being able to throw over the top, like you've seen him throw over the top, and last year. So that's the other thing is if he doesn't, stay in these games longer, then that might be why, just to kind of protect him, like maybe take him out at half, or if you're up by like 28-0 in the first quarter, which that's we're kind of where we should be. You take him out and you get the younger guys in. I know a lot of people are high on KJ Lacey, even though he's not the second string quarterback. At least that's what Sark said. Um, but no, I just want to see improvement from him, man. Defense keep doing the thing. All the improvement from our old line. Not that they played bad, but obviously you just want to keep those good reps going. You know, you want to continue to see the positive yards on the play, whether that's the run or the pass play. Like I said, last week we only gave up one negative yard, and that was a sack for Arch, I think. So just continuing to see that, because that was the biggest question mark I had was the offensive line. But they showed out last week and just continue to show out this week and the week on out. Um, Another thing I would like to see is to get the young guys in on the receiving crew. They didn't play very many snaps. I guess this is the young guys in general because we only had, I think, 4 or 5 people play more than 10 snaps on the
Yeah,
defensive end.
yeah,
And then on the offensive end, I think we only got one. Daylon McCutcheon was like the only one to get in on the receiving end. Like there was no French.
which is crazy. Like
Yeah.
none of the 5 stars, no French, no Lockett, no Michael
Yeah.
Terry.
Yeah, so I would like to see those guys get in and get. I guess it just doesn't seem that they aren't ready yet. That's kind of what I've gathered is they're just not ready. I don't know what that necessarily means. I don't know if that's just they don't know the playbook or they just
Maybe they're not
can't
physically
get it.
ready. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't know, but they're just not. He doesn't trust them yet. So yeah, getting the young guys in and on both ends of the ball and just getting them the ball, letting them get in the game and get some game experience going. I know it's not against a great team, but I feel like these small reps do kind of go a long way.
Yeah, I think too, like, um, just for something at least that I want to see, just, a fan of football. I just want to see, like you said, Arch put together, consistent good drives and not even just Arch, the whole offense. There was that stat that came out. Shout out to CJ Vogel. What was it like? I think you guys have since 2023 have received the opening kickoff 31 times or 20 times or something like that. And only,
We've shooted it 31 times, and out of the 31 times, we've only scored twice.
so it's like the percentages are so low. That's something that's alarming because you would think, yeah, it's early in the game, but you would think Sark being the prepper he is, the play caller he is, he's going to have 15 plays on script against any team that he feels like he can at least move the ball, if not get in field goal range on that first drive. So that's kind of interesting. And, it's not like Texas doesn't have the personnel. You guys have put out, I think, more draft picks than anybody the last 2 years. So it's not like you don't have the guys. It's just more so the consistency at quarterback. You have great moments from some guys, and you have some moments like we saw last week where that's, inevitably why you lost the football game. And, I really think Arch needs to just continue to just progress, like you said, play longer, and then also get the young guys some reps and opportunities. And really, too, who's going to emerge as the true number one for this team at wide receiver, right? Like you had DeAndre Moore, who had a good season last year. You had Wingo, who had a good season as well last year in pockets. But, Parker Livingston scores in the opening game. You obviously have the transfer from Stanford who has been hurt. So will we see him this week? I'm not sure. But then you also have all these young guys as well. So I think, you need a couple guys to kind of emerge and break away as like the true go-to options for Arch, and just kind of figuring out ways and, people he can go to in the pass game. Because once you get a solidified number one, that's going to give Arch a lot more confidence to be like, no matter what, I know this guy's going to be getting open. And, obviously could have just been the competition you played last week, that could be why. But, you really want to see if the competition this week is a lot worse, you really want to see guys like getting open, running free, and creating some explosives.
Do you think the competition he saw last week makes the rest of the season easier?
I think to a degree, in some ways, yeah, because you also like know what you got to really work on because you got tested so early against a good team, and a lot of the stuff that you might have thought would work didn't. But also, I could see it. You just gotta see really mainly from like the confidence standpoint of this offense in general. The defense is going to be good enough to keep you in every single game this year. Now, however, if the offense continues to yeah, you might beat a team by 30 points in these next couple of games, but if you know what you're watching at football, you see some things you're just like, it still doesn't look good, or like, yeah, we're scoring, but like we're not executing how we should against these teams. That can kind of like raise some alarms. And then really, you're really not going to know how much Arch is really improved until they go to the Swamp later this month, right? Like when they go to the Swamp after these next couple of games, let's see how he reacts again on the road in a hostile environment against a team, who's supposed to be a lot better this year, and a team who's going to be battle tested. By the time Florida plays Texas, they had already have played
at Georgia.
And no, Miami. They don't. No, yeah, Miami and
I thought they opened up with Georgia.
Florida, no.
Yeah.
No, they play them later. They play y'all first. I think they play LSU.
Oh, it is LSU. So they play South Florida this week, and then next week they're at LSU, and then at Miami the week after, and then they have a bye, and then versus Texas, and then at A&M. So before us, they at Miami and at LSU. Death Valley and I don't know. Does Miami have a nickname?
Nah, I mean just
Hard Rock,
Coral Gable, yeah.
But those are two tough games, especially with the way Miami looked, and LSU for the matter of that. Yeah. But LSU's still a question mark. It's LSU. I mean, they look like a national championship team there, contender, and then next week they can look like how they did last year.
Yeah, that's real quick to talk about them is like that's a team, right? Like they had their big time win, but LSU, they always have like some like random loss. Like are they gonna have a team coming to Death Valley and just splatter them? Like I don't know, could happen, right? So that's just a team that obviously we'll just kind of see about. But going back to Arch and Texas, like after they get through these games, they're gonna play a Florida team who's gonna have been tested, and we'll just see what that looks like again going on the road, right? The first time he throws a ball in the dirt, the first time he misses, the first time he gets hit, maybe throws an interception or fumbles. Like how's that going to affect him in an environment like that? It's going to be the first time I think Texas has ever played in Gainesville, right? So it's going to be loud there. We know it's going to be a hard place to play. So that's kind of what we just got to see is this, someone that's been around in college football for as long as he has. I think that's what was the glaring thing is more so just, okay, why isn't he like doing the stuff that he's been coached to do? The mechanics, the easy throws, the completions. Was it just him being rattled? Right. So we're going to see the next couple of weeks, if he's killing it at home where he's comfortable, that's fine. But same thing, got to take it on the road and you got to be able to win in the SEC, especially in the road and especially being a contender like Texas. Like,
or that as well, but also being the successor to Quinn, who was a road monster. When we went on the road, we were confident that we were going to win that game. Like, it wasn't like a question like, oh, we might lose this game. It's like, no, we're going to go and win this game because, that's what we knew when he went on the road was Quinn's going to play his best football he's played. So it would be awesome to see that from Arch. But obviously the time will tell. I think last thing for me, and one thing I do want to see, just for precaution reasons, I don't think I want CJ to really play that much in this game. Obviously, he was a big help last game, but I don't think this is a game that you necessarily need him in. And I would love for him to just kind of stay on the sidelines and stay healthy when we're going to need him later down the road, at Florida, at Georgia, versus Vanderbilt, versus Mississippi State, Kentucky, like just in the meat of our schedule. I would love for him not play as much than to play like he did versus Ohio State. But that was like a game that we would like needed.
Yeah, you need everybody. If everybody's healthy, you got to go. In that game. But obviously, like kind of how we did last week. Like obviously, San Jose State. It might be a little. I don't know. Illinois State's a pretty solid team, but maybe they're better than them or about the same. It's like if you can win this game with limited stars Gibson, or whatever, then that's what and this is what these games are for these guys usually to get in the game, get some reps, get a taste of college football, and get some experience. So
but on the flip side, it's also like, all right, do we play him to get him back into that,
to get him in the rhythm?
But no, well, I guess we'll get into the matchups. We talked about Oklahoma. Talked about Texas, even though they're not on here. But we got 11 o'clock Eastern, ESPN, Illinois at Duke. I know you got the Dukies in this one. You've seen it on Twitter. You're leaning that way. They have the transfer quarterback from Tulane.
Yeah, Darian Mensah
Yeah.
played against them last year. You did, and dude's pretty good, man. I mean, they had a slow start to against Elon or whoever they were playing, but I mean, he turned it up. He threw for over 300 yards, and there's a reason why they told Malik Murphy to walk. You know, even though they won 9 games with him last year and went after this guy.
I know why they told him to walk. Lost him some money, man.
But yeah, I think, you know, this is going to be a good matchup. This is a big game for the ACC once again. And this is also a big matchup for the Big Ten. In Illinois, this is a team a lot of people's high on, especially the media. Everyone's like, Illinois is next year or this year's Indiana. So we'll have to see. I didn't get to really watch Indiana either, not Indiana, Illinois or Duke last week. So this is going to be a tough game. But I think, you know, Bielema will have his team ready to play. But, you know, I think Duke's going to be fired up. They're going to have this game at home. It's early in the morning, so it's not going to be like a super hostile crowd, but it's a tough game. I think the line's sitting at 2.5 for Illinois. So, you know, don't be surprised, you know, that if Illinois can't, I don't know if they're a team that can play from behind. I don't know if they're built like that. They have a good quarterback, but I don't know if they're built like that. So if Duke gets out to a good lead, and Duke has a good defensive-led coach, Manny Diaz. You know, Elko was there before. So, like, they already kind of have that kind of DNA in the program that can kind of match, you know, an Illinois team, a team that wants to make it a sloppy, slower-paced football game. So,
yeah, and this is kind of a big game for Duke. Looking at their schedule, this is the only ranked team that they'll play until Clemson comes to town as of now. But looking at it as well, it doesn't look to seem like things will change. You know, they play, which is probably a huge game. It's gonna be a fun one to watch. But next week they play Tulane at Tulane. Then you got NC State, Syracuse, Cal, Georgia Tech, Clemson, UConn, Virginia, North Carolina, Wake Forest. So they're kind of in the driver's seat looking in, if we're being honest. You know, you got your only game versus Clemson. If that's your only conference loss and your only loss of the season, there's a possibility right there.
yeah.
So this is definitely a game that you want to win. And you're at home. You got
home.
you got the Blue Devils backing you. I mean, they got rowdy last year at home, so I can only imagine this year when they
Could definitely, you know,
quarterback.
they win this game, and if Tulane is who we think they are as well, you know, and they beat Tulane, and we know Tulane has a, you know, good rest of the way, like those could be some humongous games in the sweat, you know, for their playoff resume if they don't end up winning the ACC.
Yeah.
So,
And then on the flip side, you have Illinois, which if you do beat Duke and say Duke does win out or only loses to Clemson, that's going to look like a good win because they're probably going to be ranked. You know, their only 2 losses are to top 10 teams. So you have Duke, then you have Western Michigan, then you go to Indiana, which is going to be your next biggest game, and they're ranked 23. But I'm not high on Indiana. You know, I don't think they're the same team as they were from last year, which I think they have a better quarterback now, but it's hard to repeat what you just did.
especially when everyone
like that.
everyone knows too. Like, it's not like you're sneaking up on nobody. Everybody knows you're legit. So,
And then they play USC at home, then at Purdue, then Ohio State, and then Washington, at Washington. And then that's kind of it for like tough games. You have Indiana, USC, Ohio State, Washington. So this is a game that they kind of need to win. You know, their schedule's not very favorable in their favor. It's not.
yeah, the after Western Michigan, I mean, Indiana, USC, I mean, Purdue, it's a rivalry game. Yeah, so Ohio State, Washington, like you got all those tough games in a row. Their season can get thrown off the rails real quick, especially if they lose this game.
Yeah.
So
I think it's gonna be a fun one. I think Luke is a great quarterback, and I think he's a quarterback that can will them to victory. I don't know if Duke's defense has enough to stop their offense. I guess you have to find out my answer on the next episode.
Chips and slips on the next one, yeah. On to the next game. I almost got all these eyes. Iowa and Iowa State. This is a game that Iowa State has won 2 of the last 3, but they haven't won at home since 2011 in Ames. Crazy stat. I heard that actually earlier listening to a podcast. Yeah. So they've won 2 out of the last 3. They won both times in Iowa City, but they have not won in Ames since 2011.
That's insane.
So this game is going to be close. It's going to be a physical game. You might see 12 tight ends in this game. I mean, these teams love their tight ends. Iowa just got a quarterback, from the transfer portal who was highly sought after, a really good quarterback in the FCS level. And obviously Rocco Beck, he's a good quarterback. They've already kind of played someone too. They played K-State. Obviously K-State's not looking too hot right now, but that's a solid team. So I'm just curious, man. I'm curious to see what this game means because I feel like what. Oh my God! See, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like I don't understand, bro. Like I really think it's the play calling because we know Iowa can run the hell out of the football. They do it every year. They have good backs. They actually have good, maybe not receivers, but they have great tight ends. They always have great tight ends. It's tight end you. They always have a good defense, so they can just get good quarterback play and an OC who can actually open it up. Iowa could literally be a contender in the Big Ten every year, but they don't have those components. So we'll see what Gronowski looks like this week. But I don't know, man. I kind of think I just got to rock with the Big 12, man, and I got to rock. Oh, I almost got ahead of myself. I almost got ahead of myself. But yeah, that's just kind of my pregame analysis.
Playing a game, especially a conference game that early on the I was gonna say on the road. Technically, it was on the road, but playing a conference game that early and being in a dogfight that early, I feel like that gives your team, a little bit of edge in these early games. Just because they're used to that environment already. Iowa's always gonna have the defenses. They're always gonna have the defenses.
Always.
They have some good, sound defenses. Now it's the flip side is where they struggle, and primarily the quarterback. They're always, like Cam said, they're always going to have running back. Last year they had Caleb Johnson, great running back. Got drafted to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then last week the running back ran for 122 yards off of 11 carries.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to need to throw the ball in this game. Iowa State's they have some good receivers. They're obviously not as explosive as they were last year, but I think they're still a team that can move the ball, not at will, but they could put together some long drives on you. And when you're a team that really can't throw the ball or push the ball downfield, that clock is going to start getting scary. When that clock gets scary, that's when the turnovers and penalties start happening. So I think they're just going to have to maybe take the lead early to try to win this game. But, Iowa State just might have too much firepower for them.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. This is a team, they just gotta they could be good. They really can. Iowa could be good every year, but I don't understand why they just can't figure out offense. It doesn't have to be great. They don't need to be throwing for 300 or 400. We just need a guy that can throw for 200, 250.
Remember when they posted that video on what was it, Twitter or Instagram? There was we found our QB and it was a little 5-yard out.
I just think they just know they're so good and they're content with being good the way they are playing defense and winning these ugly games. They're so comfortable with that. I don't know. I think it's the coach mainly. I think once they get a new coach, maybe that'll change things, but I don't know.
Win, so it's
they win, but they don't win at the level they could win at.
True.
They win, but then every they're kind of they're like Iowa State. Every 3-4 years, they put together a team that could really contend for the conference.
Team, yeah.
But then when they play those better teams, when Iowa plays Ohio State, they're in the game for a half, but they just cannot keep up with them because it's Ohio State, and then they lose. It's like that, with Iowa. So we'll just have to see, man. On to the next game, Baylor and SMU. This is a game, Kevin Jennings. I didn't really watch much of SMU last week, but it'll be exciting to kind of see what SMU is looking like this week against a good team. But Baylor, gave up over, 300 plus yards on the ground to Auburn last week. their offense looked really good. You know, they looked really good throwing the football. They can move the football, but their rushing defense and this line of scrimmage was being dominated so much. I'm curious to see like what Rhett Lashley does as a coach. Because if I'm a coach and I see what they just did last week, you gotta, think you're gonna do that again this week, right? Like maybe you don't have the personnel like Auburn does to run the football, but you gotta try it until they stop you. You gotta like exploit a team's weakness and literally until they make you do something else. And I think Auburn kind of put the blueprint out there to how to dominate them. The thing is with Baylor, I feel like they're gonna be scoring points no matter who they play. So I don't know if SMU secondary is a little bit better than Auburn's, but this is an interesting matchup. This is a big game for Dave Aranda because, I mean, you lose to Auburn, that I think that was a winnable game, and then you got another tough team on the road, and then you get into the Big 12 where there's this kind of wide open. So even if you lose this game, the season isn't over. But, man, they need some momentum to go into the season because it's not over because they could lose this game and still win the Big 12.
For sure, but it's just kind of like the same thing as last year. And then they start bad and then like
start 2-4 and finish 6-0 in the last 6. So then went 8-4 until they lost to LSU.
That can't be your story every year. I feel like they've had even last year, including this year, their teams are too talented to keep doing that. They actually do have an actual really good team.
Yeah, they're a good team, man. They're one of my dark horses still in the Big 12.
I don't know. It depends on how they look this week. Obviously, we know the offense is going to offense. I think the big thing we're going to be looking at this week is defense. I don't think they're going to run the ball at Sam Houston State. I mean, their running back has 6 carries this year, and he had 6 carries all of last year as well. So he's fairly new to the system. So I think asking him to take the load for this game might be tough, but we know SMU in the past, they like to throw the ball. They like to, run some air raid offense and keep going up and down the field. And I think that's what they're going to try to do this game. Baylor's DBs are okay. Obviously, they had, Cam Coleman and Eric, what was the last name? The other receiver? Eric
Singleton?
Singleton, yes.
Yeah.
But I don't see SMU having those dogs, so they should be able to cover them better. I think this will be a good game. I think it's probably going to be a shootout, for being honest. I mean, I'm looking right here. The over's already at 64.5 points.
Wow.
So
did not know it was that high.
They're saying there's going to be no defense in this game.
Jeez.
But I do think that this being home will kind of help them. Oh, it's kind of a home game for both. I mean, Baylor's not too far from Dallas, so I don't know. I do think that the Baylor does have to get their rush defense together. And maybe it was just a 1 week thing. Maybe they're just,
or maybe it was just Auburn, having just better offensive line.
I mean, their offensive line did look great,
better personnel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this is going to be a fun one. And I feel like I said it last week, and I'm going to say it again this week. It's kind of a must-win game for Dave Aranda. He keeps continuing to lose these big games.
Yeah, we'll just have to see, man. He's the way they lost last week, like they didn't get blown out, but it just didn't look good, especially for you being a defensive guru. So Ole Miss at Kentucky is the next game. This is gonna be a tough game, I think, for Kentucky or Ole Miss. It's obviously this is hard to play there, bro. It's just like a weird place to play. I think if Kentucky didn't beat them last year, because I texted you and I was like, I think Ole Miss is on upset alert. But I think since they played them last year, I think Ole Miss is going to be ready to go. And the reason they're going to be ready to go is because they lost. And this is really the game that, held them out the playoff. Obviously, they lost later on in the season, but this was the true game where it was like, that's your blemish on your resume. So I think, Lane Kiffin's going to have them ready to go. I haven't watched much of Kentucky. I don't think they're going to be, that good, but it's just Kentucky. They're always well coached. They're always going to be a physical team. They obviously had the blueprint that they used last year to win. And this is going to be their quarterback's first true road start for Ole Miss, Simmons. So we'll see what he looks like on the road. It's obviously not the craziest place to play at, but it's still a road game in the SEC. So we'll just see kind of what that looks like.
I mean, I'm big on Austin Simmons, fellow baseball player myself, and he's left-handed. Got to rock with the boy. Um, and like you said, it's not crazy to play at. So for this to be his first road game, I feel like this is a great road game you want to have for a first-time starter. Get them settled in. It's at 2:30. It's probably going to be packed, but I don't think this environment's anything too crazy to where the pressure's going to get to him.
Yeah.
I think this kid's great. I think he's going to continue to be great. I think he's probably going to surpass Jackson Dart in the records that he set at Ole Miss, unless he just starts to continue to pursue baseball as a full thing,
Yeah.
But the future is bright for this kid, man, and I think that their personnel is just going to be too much for Kentucky. But great game to go on the road and get some road game environments under you.
Yeah, I agree exactly with that. We'll just kind of see what he looks like. We know Lane Kiffin's going to have that guy ready to go. Always has his offense in good spots. So excited to see that.
Next game. This is kind of a biggish game. It's Kansas at Mizzou. I don't think
It's a rivalry game. They haven't played in a long time since Missouri went to the SEC.
Yeah,
I think this will be the first time they played. I think it's called the Border War. I think that's the rivalry name for it. I'm excited for this game. It's at 2:30. I'm gonna be waiting for the Sooners to start up. So it'll be cool to watch some old Big 8, Big 12 teams play against each other that haven't played against each other in a while. And I'm excited to just see what Kansas looks like against an SEC team. Obviously, we've been hearing Missouri has a good defense and things of that nature, but Kansas look good, man. They look good with Jalen Daniels healthy, and this is going to be a game where they're going to have to open it up. He can't take them out. They're going to have to play all the way. And once again, another big game for playoff implications. I'm not going to necessarily say for these two teams, but this is a big game just for like the conferences. If Kansas can get this win, somehow that just boosts the Big 12. It's the Big 12 a lot better this year. Missouri is a team that isn't projected to win the conference, but just because they have a favorable schedule, a lot of people said that they could be a contender this year. So we'll just have to see, man. But I really think Kansas, now that they're healthy, I think they're a veteran team. They kind of got some momentum and swagger to them. And then Missouri, their quarterback, he still hasn't played much. He was a backup at Penn State, and now he's starting for Missouri. So he's at home. Luckily for him, but still, like this is a big test for him as well. Bro Pabula, I think that's how you say his name. So
yeah. I think this is a big game for both teams, just with, Eli having success the past 2 seasons. Can he continue that success? He's very big on like being the underdog and his teams being great and being able to beat, better teams. Like last year, we was talking about playoffs, but like the team wasn't that good. But I think if he wants to, continue with that mindset, this is a game he has to win. And on the flip side, you have a healthy QB who looks great. And when he is healthy, they seem to be doing damage to teams. So he just kind of has to keep that narrative. If he's healthy, he's in, we win the game.
Yeah.
We're on the road. This is a hostile environment, whether it's a rival or not. If the fans get rowdy. So, I think he's tenured enough to not have the affect him. But I think it's going to be a great game. It's probably, how's Kansas's defense looking? I haven't really played anybody, so it's kind of hard to.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of tell. We don't really know how good they are. So
this might be a test to see what they're looking like. I'm not the biggest Mizzou fan, even when they were quote unquote good. So I don't think they'll be rocking with much. But at the same time, I guess we'll kind of have to see because we don't know what Kansas's defense is looking like. But we know that the offense is probably going to score points. So it's gonna be a good
they're going to have to come with it, bro. They're going to have to move the ball, and actually be able to put up some points. So should be good. It should be a good one.
Should be a good one.
Oklahoma State at Oregon. I don't think this game's gonna be close at all, but you know, it's interesting because Gundy had he had said something about it must be nice to pay your players this and that, and then Dan Lanning had responded and was like, we're trying to compete for championships, and at the highest level, if you're not spending, like, you're not going to be competing for them, and basically it was just like, if that's your excuse, then that's your excuse. So Oklahoma State, man, how they have fallen off. They have just fallen off the last 2 years after going to the Big 12 title and just being a good program, really. Like, we look at Oklahoma State in the Big 12, you're like, this Oklahoma State, they're going to be a contender every year. Even when we were in the conference, both of us, like, they were good, so it's just, we'll just have to see what they look like. I think their QB is out for the next 5 weeks. Their starter that they opened the season with, so that's not going to be good, going on the road to Oregon. And Oregon, this will be their first, I guess, test for Dante Moore as a starter, but he's still at home. I don't really see Oklahoma State matching up well at all with Oregon. So it's just on here because it's two good brands, but I don't really think it's going to be that great of a matchup.
There's just not much to say. I think the teams kind of speak for themselves, especially last year with Oklahoma State. It might be the downfall of Gundy. I think he's getting close to getting on out of there and trying something new. And I just don't think they have the personnel anymore. You're used to seeing crazy offenses from Gundy, but it just hasn't seemed to be that way as of late. Mainly just last year. The year before that, I'm pretty sure their offense is pretty good.
Yeah.
But last year, and then like you said, their starting quarterback is out for a few games, and you have a guy who's not obviously he's a second string for a reason, and he's coming in on a crazy road environment in Eugene where they get loud and they get crazy and they get fun. Don't think that'll be too fun for him.
Yeah, Oklahoma State, man, I don't know. I think Gundy's kind of losing it. I know you saw him lift his shirt up the other day too. So I'm just like,
yeah, man.
We'll just see, man.
CTE, man.
We'll see. USF at Florida. This is a good game. Florida played last week against Long Island University, and USF had a great win early in the season. Blowing out Boise State, right? So USF is dangerous, man. Like we said, the confidence is there. I mean, even if they lost that game the last couple of years, took Alabama to the wire twice and just beat Boise State.
Trap game?
I wouldn't say it's a trap game for Florida. I think Florida will be ready to go, but I do think this is going to be a game that's going to test them, and it's going to test Lagway too. I think it's
South Florida than LSU.
It's a good. You're not wrong. Could be a trap game. I don't know. I just kind of want to see what Lagway looks like. We obviously have seen him last year, but I want to see kind of when there's expectations. There's expectations for Florida this year, and this is a game you can't lose because their schedule is brutal. And even this is a hard game. Like, this isn't like an easier tune-up game. This is a team that quite frankly is a contender for the playoff this year, especially after they just beat Boise State. Like, this is a team that can easily be in the playoff this season if they do well in the American. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah. How much do we care about QBR around here, Cam?
I'm not too fond of it. I mean, it's not the worst metric, but it's also hard to gauge so early in the season. I think you can look at it later in the year and kind of get a gauge on how good a guy was. But outside of that, I mean, people pulling up QBR against. I mean, his stats didn't look like that though. Didn't he throw what?
That's what I said.
So I don't even know how they're determining that. Sorry, my camera guys.
No, you're good.
But I don't know how they're determining that. So I'm like, you throw for, I think, was he like 17 for, what was his throwing?
He didn't even start? Or no?
Nah, he did. He just didn't play. I think the other guy's QBR is higher, so he's lower on the list.
Oh, yeah. He's 15 for 18, 120 yards, 3 TDs. Did he?
I guess because he didn't throw much, or like he didn't have a lot of yards for all the attempts or something. Because he's averaging 6.7. I mean, it sounded like he didn't really.
Yeah, so I don't
It sounded like they also didn't put nothing on tape. That's what that tells me. It's like Because, I mean, last year we were seeing Lagway chunk the ball down the field a lot, like almost too much to where it was hurting his development. So I think in this game, they probably didn't ask him to do anything, really. They probably were getting some turnovers. His stats, throwing 3 touchdowns with that many yards, sounds like they had a lot of short fields, too.
Yeah.
Maybe they were getting some turnovers and some things. But
I don't know if I want to call this a trap game. But I think this is going to be I think this game's going to be more competitive than probably people think.
For sure. They're just seeing the brands on there and just like assuming it's going to be a blowout.
Like I said, South Florida has that confidence right now, They just beat Boise State.
And they smacked them too. It wasn't close. Smacked them.
Boise State just went to the playoffs last year. People were saying they're going to go to the playoffs this year just from winning their conference, but now it's looking like UNLV might do it. So, they're fun to watch. They're an exciting team. They have a nice dual threat quarterback, and it shows that he's not as scared of contact either. Mm-hmm. So as long as he can stay healthy, I honestly think he keeps them in this game.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he was running on Boise State. Now, do I think he will be doing that in this game? I don't know. Like I said, it just takes to get licked one time by some of these SEC guys flying around. So I don't know how good that'll be for him per se, but I think this is a good test for Florida, man. This is a good game for them, a good little tune up, like a real tune up game. Because the team, if you fuck around, they could lose.
Absolutely,
they could lose.
Absolutely, and this is as sad as it is, and as good as he is. This is a game that, like, Billy would lose.
Yeah.
So, I want Florida to win, obviously, because I want them undefeated when we play them. At this point, I want everybody undefeated when we play them to try to take that O away from them, even though we got one. But I think it's going to be a very fun game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than what people are thinking, especially if South Florida can get that offense going. And actually, also, their defense, it wasn't too bad against Boise State either. What did they play last week? Oh, that was it. Last week was Boise State. They played early. That's why. So that defense didn't look too bad. And then they created some turnovers, and they capitalized off those turnovers as well. And that's something that you also like to see. So I think it's going to be a fun one, man. I don't think this is an SEC network game.
Nah. But I think it's at a weird time too, like 3:15.
Yeah, it's at 3:15. So, yeah. On to the next. You got Arizona State and the greatest OC to ever go to Oklahoma, Mississippi State, and Jeff Lebby. Arizona State's what, dude? Yeah, you're agreeing with me? Thank you. Finally, for once.
What? I'm just saying, like, yeah, I was just saying. No, stop with the reaching. Hey, listen, this is an interesting game here. This is Mississippi State. I thought they could have got lost last week. They end up pulling away, and I mean, we're looking at the ESPN match predictor. It's like split down the middle almost. And obviously Mississippi State has this game at home. At Arizona State. I didn't really watch too much of their game, but I just heard they had a lot of undisciplined penalties. There were a lot of false starts, a lot of stuff like that, pinning them behind the change. And obviously we know Tyson, the wide receiver, is a dude, but they got to kind of have somebody else emerge as well with him. And this is going to be a big game for Jeff Lebby, and also another big game for the Pac or Big 12. This is obviously, yes, it's an SEC game, but if you're supposed to be the overwhelming favorite in the Big 12, then you got to take care of business against a lower level SEC team. It can't be close. I think last year, Arizona State smacked Mississippi State. I don't think it was close last year, but you really got to be able to kind of put it on notice for the rest of the country, just to let people know, like, you are the overwhelming favorite, and the Big 12 is a good conference. You want to. I'm not saying Arizona State cares, about the rest of the people in their conference, but if you're a fan of a Big 12 team, you want them to do well, because the Big 12 is so cannibalistic that, you want to have some marquee wins at a conference. So if you have a couple losses, or maybe go to the Big 12 championship with one loss and lose, that, people are talking about you on Selection Sunday as a bubble team or something. So,
yeah. I didn't really get to watch or see too much of their last game. When when they play the lesser opponents and there's better games on. You just tend to watch the better games, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But this is a team that everybody's high on in the Big 12 this year, which I was thinking about it. I was like, it'd be crazy. Like, everybody last year picked them to be last.
Yeah,
Everybody's this year's picking them to be first. What if they just flipped?
that would be crazy. I don't think they will because
Like,
I
what
just
if
think
they just flip? Like,
they have too much talent. But I mean, that is possible with this conference. I mean, there's not really too much margin of error. Like, there's not too
yeah.
much of a gap between the best teams and the worst teams in here. So
Yeah, I think this is a huge game for Jeff Lebby, and I think this is a game that he could very well possibly win. If I'm
yeah,
being honest with you,
yeah,
um, especially being home at
hmm
night, it gets rowdy out there. I mean, Arizona State's accustomed to that, especially playing in the playoffs, especially playing against Texas. We traveled well,
hmm
and the stadium was rocking. So I think they're just kind of used to that. It's interesting to see how they continue to move forward without Bo Scatabo. Same thing with Boise State. Boise State looked to, Genty looked to be a big part of that offense last year, and they
hmm
struggled, game one. So, like, how
hmm
much did he play a factor? Now you got the same thing with Arizona State. How much is Scotabo going to play a factor?
hmm
Are they going to be able to run the ball like they used to? Like, was that the reason they were so successful? We don't know. We'll find out. I
hmm
think this is a game that we will find out. You have Sam Levitt who can run the ball, but obviously don't want your quarterback running that much a game unless like that's the only thing you can do. So I will be interested to see how they do run the ball, and that might play a factor in if they do win this game. I think with Shapen being back this year for Mississippi State, there's he was hurt all of last year and finally gets to play this year. Ex Baylor boy as well. I think that does
Thanks, babe.
kind of, I think that does kind of help them, so to say,
Yeah, per
this
se.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. I like I said, this is Levy's got some time, man. It's not easy to win there, especially in
I
the
mean, last
SEC.
year he was in a whole rebuild year. Like everybody
Yeah,
was it was literally a brand new roster.
so he's got some time, but if he wants to send himself early, this is the way to do it, right? This is a team they can get. This is a winnable game for them. So Arizona State, dangerous, dangerous, dangerous this week.
Yeah.
Last game of the weekend. This will be on the same time as them Sooners, so this might be on a smaller TV. I might not be paying too much attention to this one,
I don't know. This might be some day.
but it's gonna be a banger, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is not an ACC network game.
No.
Especially after watching the game last week.
Yeah, Virginia
This might
Tech,
have
man,
some
they
popcorn
were
in
a
it.
special teams play away, and a couple drops away down the sideline, from beating South Carolina. I mean, they got some dudes at receiver. Like, I was surprised they had some guys making some crazy catches. Like, we were like, whoa.
And if they weren't catching them, like they were that close to being completed, and there were some snags.
Yes, and Kyron Drones, I think he's got to just continue to. I think they got to run him more. I think his legs should be a factor. They obviously, now we've seen that they got some receivers, so we know they got the personnel there. The defense actually, I thought, played all right against Lenora Sellers. They were getting a lot of pressure on them, and this is a big game for Pavia. Diego Pavia, you're playing, but really for Virginia Tech too. I mean, Virginia Tech, they had a tough little start to their season, but this is a game I think they believe they can win, especially at home. But it's going to be so fire is Diego Pavia coming out and he just sees him and he just sees Enter Sandman. That ain't going to intimidate Diego Pavia. If anything, that's going to fire him up. That's going to fire him up. And, this might be a Diego Pavia masterclass. That just might be the only juice he needs. I mean, that dude literally is an Energizer bunny, so I'm excited to see this game. Hopefully you can tune in, during some halftime break or some commercials and stuff like that. But it's a big game, really, for both programs. I think it's a big game for Vanderbilt because it can kind of show people that you're for real this year. You're a team that's not to be slept with or slept on. And then Virginia Tech, the Brent Pry. I mean, losing South Carolina is understandable, right? Neutral site game, but losing this game at home against a team you probably match up with on paper well, evenly, if not a little better. You gotta find a way to win. If you're Brent Pry, I think you gotta because the talks will get loud. This is you're kind of not really seeing that progression to get into the level that you expected Virginia Tech to be getting to. So
Yeah. I think this game's going to be very, 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 very fun, especially what we saw against South Carolina from Virginia Tech. Uh, I promise you, just because they lost that game doesn't mean they're down. That probably gave them more confidence than anything. They just went toe to toe with a team that everybody's saying that they're a playoff contender. Everybody's saying they have one of a Heisman finalist, and you contained him.
yeah.
You contained him. You were in that
What's
game.
a few explosives, that
Yes.
big post and then that kick return, like that game could
Yes.
be totally different.
Yes, and like you were a special teams play away from winning that game. Their defense looked great. I was very surprised to see that, especially with the offense in South Carolina does have explosion. Um, and then you have Vanderbilt on the other side, who they think they can win the national championship if you ask them. So they're probably
Man.
a little pissed off that they're not even in the top 25, especially last year, the things that they did and what they accomplished.
Yeah.
I think that Diego is probably has the chip on the shoulder just from not being in the top 25, and you know him. He wants people to doubt them and then to make them believers. So I think this game's gonna be really really fun to watch. Expect some fireworks, man. Get your popcorn ready.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And last but not least, we already talked about it. The Sooners in Michigan. We already talked about it. We won't go too much in depth. All I'm gonna say is just know. Just know, man. We gonna put it on notice. It's gonna be on display, as I like to say. You see it on the hat, you see it on here. I'm saying this now, or I'm gonna be sad. So just know this is gonna be a good game. I honestly think it could go all kind of ways. I think it could be a bar fight, or I think a team could really pop off with one of the QBs. So we'll just have to see, man. I'm excited though. This is I love a big time game, man. Like especially when you know everyone's watching your squad. That's what's gonna be happening. So
we got a few minutes left, real quick. One thing I do want to go over real quick: top 25. Number 1, Ohio State. Number 2, Penn State. Number 3, LSU. Number 4, Georgia. Number 5, Miami. Number 6, Oregon. Number 7, Texas. Number 8, Clemson. Number 9, Notre Dame. Number 10, South Carolina. Number 11, Illinois. Number 12, Arizona State. Number 13, Florida. Number 14, Florida State. Number 15, Michigan. Number 16, Iowa State. Number 17, SMU. Number 18, Oklahoma. Number 19, A&M. Number 20, Ole Miss. Number 21, Alabama. Number 22, Tennessee. Number 23, Indiana. Number 24, Texas Tech. Number 25, Utah. One thing real quick. Do you agree with that top 25, yes or no?
I'm gonna say for the most part, yeah. I mean, it's crazy to see Bama at 22 or 21 in week whatever they're at in week
21
2.
week 2.
So I think the top 10, respectfully, I think it's fair. I think South Carolina showed enough, that they should be in the top 10. You got some teams lose, but they also have star power at the positions that matter. Personally, I probably would have put LSU at probably number 2. Right. Obviously Penn State, I could see why they're number 2. I mean, they got a lot of first place votes to start the year. That's why they're ranked number 2. So I could see them not really getting moved. But I just thought it was impressive for LSU to go on the road and beat a team that, is being talked about as one of the national title favorites. So I would just move them off of that. And then obviously Texas falling to 7, I'm not too mad about that. I think I had them in my at 7 in my personal top 10. They lost by 7 on the road to a number 3 team. Like, they're not going to fall too far. And then Notre Dame as well, lost on the road by 3 points, had a chance to win the game. Miami, moving to the top 5. But, all in all, I think the rankings are good, man. I'm excited to see if Oklahoma's able to win this game this week, and depending on how convincing it looks, how far we move up. Do we go into the top 10? That's a pretty big win, right? So we'll just kind of have to see. I really glad they ranked Utah because they look damn good. They looked good. I know it was UCLA, but I mean, they looked good. They looked like a team that could contend. And then we'll see if TCU gets ranked too. I mean, after this week, I mean, they look good against North Carolina, or North Carolina just looked super bad. One of the two.
Yeah. I agree-ish with it. I would probably change some stuff here and there. I probably would still have Texas in the top 5. I mean, I know I'm a Texas fan, so it sounds a little biased. But looking at the team that's ranked number one now, we just went toe to toe with them, and it was a dogfight to the very end. So I don't think
Yeah.
we should be that punished. Um, I think I still need to see more from Miami. I don't think they should be number five. I understand Georgia. I understand LSU. LSU went on the road and won at Clemson.
Miami just has the win.
Yeah,
What's helping them?
yeah. And then I think Tennessee should be higher than Alabama right now.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That was a team we were hating on, and they look good, bro.
Yeah.
Like they looked a lot better. Honestly, Joey Aguilar looked a lot like Hidden Hooker.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of the offense that Hypo had with Hookers. Kind of would look like with Aguilar, like actually being able to push the ball down the field, take shots, be accurate, things of that nature. So. Yeah, I mean the rankings are interesting. I don't think that don't look too much into these. A lot's going to change.
Come out October, November.
Yeah, playoff rankings. I think they come out. The first week of November.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like that's when the first ones come out, and then that's what they use after that. Because that's when the bigger games are. But yeah, man. Hopefully y'all take care of business. Hopefully we keep taking care of business. And Red River can be top 10 in October. I'd be fire. But I wonder if Auburn's going to get ranked too. Are they ranked or did they get ranked? Mm-mm. Yeah. See, like they didn't even get ranked, but hopefully they're ranked too as well by the time we play them as well.
They just didn't beat a ranked team, so to say.
Yeah, but neither did Utah. Neither did Utah, and they got ranked.
Yeah.
So. And the same with Tech didn't move. I think Tech went down. Yeah, they were 23.
They received 94 votes. BYU received 102. So
yeah,
they're close.
Yeah, we'll see, man. I wonder what it's gonna look like. It's easy to fall out the top 25.
Oh, for sure.
Especially Alabama. You go from number 8 to 22 like that. Florida State going from unranked to 14 like that. So yeah.
All righty, man. Well, another week. Big matchup for you this week. Easy matchup for me this week, so I won't be as stressed as I was last week. So, hey, man, I hope you get to experience what I experienced last week. Go Big Blue. Well, with that being said, this your boy is from 54 Yards. We'll catch y'all guys next time. Hook 'em.
Boomer.